Hi, guys, and welcome to the Dead by Tomorrow podcast. My name is Daniel Winter, and my co host is Andrew Monroe. In each episode, Andrew and I will explore topics that you should think about before you die. We encourage you to remember that some tomorrow will be your last, so each day could be your final chance to really live.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. Apologies for those of you who are, desperate for that regular update. Daniel went and had his second child, and can you believe it? It threw off the schedule a little bit. So you can totally blame Daniel and his newborn son for that one. No, that's awesome though. So Daniel, I'm glad you're able to make it. You now have a 1 week old baby, not even quite a week old yet. Um, how's that been?
Yeah, we're not even at the 1 week mark. I think we're at like 4 days or something like that. He was supposed to be born on Thanksgiving Day, and fortunately decided to come early. That's something Hillary and I were both hoping for, both praying for, because we're hosting my family. And we just thought it'd be a lot more fun if we already had him and we're kind of in a bit of a routine before trying to do the whole Thanksgiving thing. And Hillary had gestational diabetes. So he being here now means that she gets to actually enjoy all of the Thanksgiving food. So we are thrilled that Jonas decided to come out a little bit early.
I bet she's really happy. That sounds rough.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
the diabetes, I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either. Um, yeah, and she did a really great job of managing it. You have to check your levels. You have to be really conscious of what you eat and try to get good exercise. And so she did a good job with it, but it made it to where she was, not gaining as much weight as you normally do during pregnancy. And we had to check a lot of his levels before leaving the hospital, make sure that those were all good to go. Um, Typically, kids that have where the mom has gestational diabetes, typically they're a little bit bigger. So that's also good that he was born not quite 2 weeks early, but almost 2 weeks early, because that means that he was a little bit smaller than what he would have been if he had gone to full term.
Gotcha. Well, your wife is quite the petite woman. So, that's good to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh, did y'all, try and how was she testing? Was she using, like, a something, or was she using one of
Yeah.
the glucose monitors that are floating around?
No, it was just like the thumb prick test.
Oh,
Doesn't really make sense to get a more intense monitor when it's just for a finite period of time. My dad has one of those like continuous glucose monitors, and I think it's really awesome.
I loved I had it for that month, and I thought it was a blast, so and it was you can get them if you do it right affordably. Mine was not what I would consider exactly affordable, but, I have bad habits in that regard. Um, and also, it's like I think it's the Dexcom G6, but we were in Vegas, 2 months ago, I think, and or maybe less, and I saw so many people with it, like, tons, like, every 3rd or 4th person had one of those, glucose monitors on. It was the weirdest thing. So I'm pretty sure I started a trend there, but, that'd been cool if I coulda gotten to try it, but probably, more reasonable not to actually chase that and to add the discomfort. I can't imagine, trying to sleep with one of those and also be pregnant at the same time.
Right.
That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, not at all.
So, there you go. Well, hey, we have a challenge that we wrapped up, really, like, 2 weeks ago, honestly, but,
Hey, speak
you
for
know
yourself. I still tried to log another time today.
Oh, really? Did it go better? How'd you go?
Uh so I think when we originally talked about this, I was saying I wanted to get my mile below 5, which I still would like to do at some point. That was not a realistic goal for one, coming off of my frisbee season, spraining my ankle and not getting to just kind of roll straight into training. I had to take some time off and all of that fun stuff. And, you know, 5 minute mile is just hard. So I kind of amended my goal to trying to get it below 6. And I don't have the Airtable pulled up. You may have that pulled up, but I think my times were something in the range of like 6:50 my first run. That was bad. It was in the neighborhood. It wasn't on the track. Um, and then I think I had like a 6, maybe like 20 something, and like a 6:07, a 6:03. That one was so frustrating, so close, and then dropped back to like a 6:15. And then today I did a 6:07. So I'm right there, so close.
Yeah, right on the edge. Yeah, I pulled up the Airtable and looks like the 6:03 was your best time you got in there, which is still a lot better than mine. Well,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah, so it was hard. I mean, I'm glad that I had a reason to consistently stick with my Sunday track workouts. Um, but I think if I'm gonna shave a lot more time off, I probably need to run at least one other time in the week instead of I'm pretty much just lifting and doing some like PT type maintenance exercises during the week aside from my Sunday track workouts. So how'd the challenge go
Yeah,
for you?
I I thought it went pretty well. I mean, I wouldn't say I enjoyed running any more than I usually do, especially whenever it's the mile. Like I'm kind of okay with like the 2 3 mile runs that are really slow, and I'm just watching Netflix while I'm doing it. Which, oh man, high school Andrew would kill me for hearing that, or college Andrew. The motivated Andrew would be very angry about that because I used to be pretty hardcore about what you were allowed and not allowed to do while running, and watching Netflix was definitely not on the allowed to do list because you're not trying as hard. And I'm not going to say I was wrong about it, but I really enjoy just that cardio where I watch some Netflix or catch up on anime or something. So the miles were less fun, but it definitely was good for me. I definitely saw some improvements on the run. I ended up hitting my 7:30 target. What was that, 2 Sundays ago, and haven't tried to clock one since. But I was in New York last weekend, and this weekend's been cold. So,
It has
uh,
been cold. Ugh,
yeah,
I hate the cold.
and I ate too much last weekend. I was not gonna go try and bust out another mile after what was basically a very excessive food binge for Shalomi's birthday in New York. So, and then work's been crazy. I have all the excuses, so pick
Look,
whichever one you want.
hey, if we're gonna actually do Spartan races next year, you've gotta stick with some consistent running. Otherwise, I'm gonna leave you in the dust and we're not gonna do the
Yeah.
race together.
In my defense, I have ran a few times this week. I just haven't pushed for a mile. I did a 2 mile run on Tuesday, I think. And then I guess I didn't run again besides Tuesday, but I did get a cardio session in on Thursday and Friday. So can't even remember what I did. I think I did stair stepper on Thursday. On Friday, I can't remember what I did. It was just 2 days ago. Anyways, I got 3 cardio
Sweet.
sessions in. I actually kind of backtracked on some of my lifting comparatively. And I played some volleyball on Wednesday night, so that kind of counts. So I'm
Ooh,
trying there. I'm just not pushing the mile time as hard at the moment. After got my little success with the 7:30 mile, which
nice.
it really hurt. I was not happy about it, but I think what helped was like you were saying, you were basically doing a track workout once a week. Um, and then you were still coming off of some injuries and sickness and stuff. I came into the challenge a lot better than I was the previous month because I'd gotten sick like a month and a half ago. And so I came in actually feeling pretty good. And I was hitting 2 or 3 somethings. I was doing definitely a track workout on Sundays. And then I think Wednesday and Friday, most week, I was doing something. And it might not have been just a straight mile, which is kind of what I wanted to do, was just run a mile every day and just see what that did it. But I didn't end up having the discipline to do that. But just different things to kind of increase that cardio engine paired with the track workout on Sunday. So I was getting 3 days a week um, in an attempt to increase that mileage time. So I think it helped.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's solid.
I think it was
And
good.
and when you say your 7:30 mile hurt, what specifically hurt?
Uh, for me, it was the lung capacity, and I guess my hips a little bit. But it wasn't my legs. It was just that burn you get whenever you outpace your cardio engine.
Interesting. See, I
So
was I was talking to Brett today because he came up to the track with me for my run today, and the cardio aspect is not my limiting factor on this run. Like, I'm certainly out of breath. It certainly hurts, but it's not like when you and I would run in high school and I would throw up because I pushed myself cardio wise too hard or would like be lightheaded and all of this kind of stuff. Like, I'm not experiencing that. It's my legs. Like, the muscles in my legs are just on fire by the end, and legs are kind of on the heavier side, and that's what is kind of slowing me up for like pushing through and getting some faster time.
Well, and that's because, and this is from my slightly unscientific point of view, but you are doing what would be closer to, not even would be closer, you're doing pure fast twitch. It's very muscle intensive. I haven't gotten to where I'm actually truly engaging muscles on these runs because I'm not moving at that speed. I really think probably down to the maybe 6:30 mark, you're nothing crazy for your legs. It's pure cardio engine. But you start getting past those points and you start really having to recruit muscle to actually push yourself faster because you're hitting the ground more and you're pushing harder when you're hitting the ground. The pace I'm running at is not a muscle pace. I'm not
Hmm.
using muscles. I'm using running technique and momentum basically. I think. And I don't know. I'm sure someone who actually knows these kind of things can probably correct me and tell me how stupid I'm sounding. But to me, sprinting is more like riding a bike where you're really pushing it. The slower runs, I really don't think use that much muscle.
Interesting.
I don't know. Do you
We'll
ever
have
get,
to.
if you go run 5 miles, do your legs get tired?
Man, I haven't run 5 miles in probably 5 years, so I don't remember.
See, mine don't. I think like I'll feel it in my calves every once in a while, depending on how far I'm running and how often I've run. But I think the only time my like quads have ever hurt from a run was when I did a half marathon. And then I was like, oh, your legs can get sore from a run. That's cool. And that was like it. But whenever you start getting into like a sprint, if you go do a sprint, you could do a sprint for 30 seconds and you'll be sore the next day in those quads. So I don't know. That might be something worth researching and figuring out why the difference is, but I'm going to assume it's the fast twitch, slow twitch kind of stuff. And on the slow twitch side, you're not putting that much effort into your muscles actually generating any kind of force.
Hmm.
I don't know. But no, for me, it's the engine. I've really slacked off on my engine and uh, it hurt. I was, I was breathing real heavy. Uh, really the last 2-3 minutes of mine, which is, 50% of I hit the like halfway point. I was like, oh no, I don't know if I'm going to make it at this pace, but we got there.
Yeah, that mile 3 is, or not mile 3, sorry, lap 3 is the worst when you're technically over halfway done, but you
But
still
you
have
got
another
so far.
lap. Yeah. Yeah, you can gut it through for lap 4. Lap 1 feels great. Lap 2, you kind of come off it a little bit, and then lap 3 is just hell.
Well, and that is something and that is where I need to do another test at some point, which I've probably shot myself in the foot now 2 weeks out. But I did everything on a treadmill because I just didn't want to go to the track that's always busy and there's people out there. And so I was doing everything on the treadmill and working on getting that treadmill time down, which go back and forth because on one hand, I get to set the, treadmill. I'm like, hey, I want to run a 7:30 mile, or in this case, I tried to run faster than a 7:30 mile. I had to crank it up to like a 7:45 and then crank it back down to like a 7:20 mile to get that 7:30 in there because I overcommitted at the beginning. But compared to times I get when I'm on the track, I usually run faster on the track, but I don't have my pacing skills at the moment. Like I
Yeah.
can't like pace myself anymore like I used to. It just used to be instinct almost. And you're in the same boat, I'm sure, where it's like, yeah, I'm at my 6.5 minute pace or I'm at a 7 minute pace, and it's just natural to you. And I've completely lost that. Like I get on the track and I have no idea what pace I'm running at anymore. So I didn't try it on a track because I didn't want to try that. I did a couple track workouts with like my watch, and I probably could have done that. But for the actual test, I just cranked up the treadmill at the gym and went on it. So I don't know if I cheated or not, I guess is what I'm getting at. or if I made it harder on myself.
I think running on the track is easier than the treadmill, but that's just me. I think the track I still think it's more forgiving than a treadmill. I kind of refuse to run a lot of distance on anything that's not a track, like that spongy material, just because I'm
Oh, it feels
old.
so much better than a treadmill.
um, and I don't know. I just am never quite as motivated on the treadmill. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and that you can set a pace, and it kind of like forces you to it. But I I don't know. It's not very motivating to me to just run in the same spot over and over and over.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know which way I did it. I don't know if I made myself worse or better with it because historically the track is where I would do drastically better. But it's been a while, so I don't know if that's still true or if I took an easy way out and said it. So I don't know. I'll have to find out and run against the track and see which one comes out with a better time. And if I was using a crutch or if I was using an anchor. So, but it was good. So you enjoyed the challenge, even despite the weather and everything
Uh,
coming off of it.
yeah, no, it's been good. I like having goals that help me to just maintain. And I don't know if we've talked about that much before, at least on the podcast. I know I've talked about it outside of the podcast, but we're both 30 plus now, and I feel like that's an age where most people are like, "Oh, you're 30, you're old, you're probably slow now. You probably are like hurt all the time, athletically way outside of your prime, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff." And you know, I'm not running a 5:30 mile like I was in college. And in college, I was probably playing like 10 hours of frisbee and 2 hours of basketball and 2 hours of volleyball pretty much every week. And I think if I did that now, I I would struggle a little bit to walk around. Um, but I'm still not like way far off athletically. And in some areas, I'm just right where I was at college level athletically. And I think the biggest thing is that I've just never stopped. Like I've never been like, okay, I'm gonna, take a break. I'm gonna step away from doing these workouts. I'm gonna, put on 30 pounds because I'm gonna keep eating like I was and I'm not gonna work out anymore. And I haven't had like a crazy injury or anything like that. And so I think that maintenance is the most important aspect of health. And that's why I like these challenges because, the frisbee season is over. So it would be easy for me to, especially having two kids now, to just kind of chill out, be on the couch for the next few months, and then be like, okay, it's frisbee season. I got to get back in shape. And that's just so much harder than staying in shape. And especially the older you get, it's a lot harder to just like, oh, I'm just going to get back in shape now. So all to say,
Yeah.
yes, I have enjoyed the challenge.
That's good. Is there anything you would have changed differently on your runs to maybe get sub, 6 minutes?
Oh, I mean, just running more in the week.
Oh,
I only made it out basically once a week. So I tried to do a little bit more, but the track was taken often outside of Sundays. And like I said, I do not want to run not on the track.
well, and that's exactly why I was able to get stuff in was not trying to get to the track, with school in session. And I don't know, I don't know about, our people who are listening. Maybe they have a different track access than us, but like, if the school's track's being used, like any of the school's track, that's where I go. I don't have a different track to go work at. Like the gym I go to has like a, you know, tiny little square. It's actually like 5 or 6 different right angles in this track. It's like the worst looking track I've ever seen in my life. Um, it's like 10 yards and then a left right angle for 3 yards and then another right angle for another 5 yards and a left angle, another left 90-degree angle for another 10 yards. And then you get like 20 yards and then you get like maybe 100 yards and then you get like 2 more angles. It's like 6 different little squares. It's the worst thing ever. So, um, therefore, school's in session, track is taken up, at least to my bedtime. So, so it was hard to get to the track if it wasn't a weekend. So I get it.
Yeah, for sure. Did you wear your Apple Watch or anything like that while you were doing your runs? Curious
Yes,
if you did
I
you keep
did you
track
one
of like
better actually.
oh,
Um,
you've got your Whoop as well.
yep. So I put my Whoop in there. I did screenshots on the Airtable. So if you check out the show notes, um, I think I got all of them but one run. One of the runs, my Whoop it just didn't track or died or something. I can't remember what happened, but I took a screenshot of my Whoop results for all of them, and then I also the Apple results are somewhere on my phone as well. But the Whoop ones are what I found really interesting because it gives you that kind of the strain and how your body responded to it. So they're in there. It
What
was
kind of
oh, go ahead.
what kind of like what did some of your heart rate look like in terms of average and different zones and that kind of stuff?
So not great, to be honest. Uh, most of the runs, and I'm working off of memory here. I'll try and pull it up and see if I can get there. But I'd usually peak out at probably close to 160, 170 beats per minute during the peak of the run. And this is what was interesting as well, is I would go up, let's say at the halfway point. I'd get half a mile and 2 laps in, and I'd peak out at 160 beats per minute. And then I'd kind of drop off the last little bit of the mile. Now the 730 mile where I really pushed it, I was bumping 180 the entire time. But
Whoa.
for yeah, um, I was getting up there in a heart attack territory. Uh, but again, that's exactly why I like the Whoop for my unathletic self. Is it's telling you like, hey, it's taking not just your heart rate, but a couple different factors, and it kind of spins it into this strain score, and it says, hey, this is how hard you basically worked your cardio engine in your heart, and you know, the more you bounce that ceiling, the better you get at it, and the better, cardio wise you get or strain wise you get. And so you can kind of see, I mean, a 4 week time span is not a huge data set to work with, but you could kind of see where as my times kind of moved around a little bit, you could see the strain kind of moving around. So more than anything, it was just kind of cool seeing what the strain would equal depending on what I trained. So if I did like a 10-minute mile, I'd have, maybe a strain of a 9. And then if I did a 9-minute mile, that strain might jump up to 10. But on a, 7.5-minute mile, that strain jumped up, but it also didn't jump up as much as you'd think. It was really only up to, I think, like an 11.5, maybe a 12. Uh, so playing around with that was kind of interesting. The longer I would run, so if I do like a 3-mile run, it actually gets that strain much higher than if I do a really hard 1-mile run. So for anybody
Yeah.
that's just looking purely for health, um, there's probably something in there for someone to learn. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but it seems like a slower, longer pace is probably better for your cardiovascular system than a really hard, fast pace.
Well, I think what I had heard is that you basically want to have a high heart rate type of workout for about 30 minutes is kind of
Yep.
the ideal. And so I know you're not running your miles crazy fast, but it's taking you less time than 30 minutes. So if you even your 730 mile, like, yeah, that's you're pushing your heart rate way up there, but
Mhm.
then you're done.
Yep.
And 3 mile, that's taking you probably close to 30 minutes and you're working your heart 3 times longer, essentially.
Exactly. And that's what it is. That strain just goes up because I might not be hitting 180 on the 3 miles for 30 minutes, but I'm maintaining maybe 140 and 150 for 30 minutes instead of 180 for roughly 2 minutes. So it was kind of interesting just seeing that. So there's a bunch of different screenshots of all the different runs I did, or if I did anything cardio related in there. Um, so it's kind of cool. It
Yeah,
was nice to see effort put down on paper in a way. So
yeah,
that was an interesting part of the challenge.
that's awesome. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just curious. I was looking through some of my heart rates. I definitely didn't get up into 180 on any of the runs. I think like 170 was the highest point I had on any run. And on average, it was like between 140, 150 was kind of where it was hanging out.
That's good. I mean, as long as you're pushing it.
Well,
And that's
again,
the
and
thing
and I
is I
think that
think you're
goes.
crossing. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that kind of goes back into what I was saying, where from a cardio perspective, like
Huh.
it was hard, but I didn't feel like I was gonna die. My heart rate wasn't in heart attack territory. It really is more just that muscle issue.
Well, and yeah, exactly, and that's what I was thinking about, like, you're talking about the difference between that muscle problem versus that engine problem. So, you're obviously not having an engine problem, it's purely you're having to lug around the rest of your body, and I think that's why a lot of those, I don't know, those sprinters that you see online, they have some huge quads, just their legs are just tree trunks, and then you go look at a long distance runner, and they look like starved, adults that have never seen a pizza in their life. They're just tiny, tiny, almost no muscle on them, anything like that. But the sprinters, which is what you're talking about whenever you're doing, that that fast of a mile, um, they're monstrously muscled. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered the run. I don't want to, we can go into the weeds on this, but we won't. So we've got one more challenge to close out the year, and we're going to do another physical, it sounds like. So we're going to do a squat. Speaking of quads, you see how we did that little segue? So, squat challenge. What are you squatting right now?
Let's see. Last week, I think I squatted like 260. I'll pull up
We
my
can
app
leave it at 2 pounds. I'm fine with that. 2 pounds it is. It's 260 for reps or maxing.
for reps.
Okay. What kind of reps are we talking?
Pretty much just 3 by 5.
Nice. The 3 by 5, 260. That's pretty good. Do you think you have some in the tank, or what's your goal going to
Oh
be?
yeah, yeah. I think I think I can add maybe another 15 pounds to that over the course of the next month.
15. 275. No, 285. 275. I had it right.
That's
Oh,
hard.
gets me every time. So 275 for a 3 by 5. That is not a small amount of weight.
Yeah, what are you at?
Not that. Um, what did I hit? I think I actually just texted you the other day. I think I hit 245 for a 5 by 5. So I could probably go a little bit up. Um, I don't know. I really want to do 3 plates, but I don't know if I'll get there for reps.
Well,
So
in a month?
yeah, that'd be kind of wild. No, I was thinking for like a one rep max, but
Oh, okay, okay.
I think 275 is good. I might aim for 275 as well. See if I've been shortchanging myself. I I haven't failed on a squat in a while. I've at least like bailed out of a squat. I've probably failed in terms of not going to depths that I should, but I haven't really pushed myself to that point of like, oh no, this is too much weight. I'm in trouble.
Oh,
So
I don't like to go to failure in squats. That scares me. I
it scares me too, and I don't know why. I've got cheater bars at the gym. Like, there's nothing that's gonna happen to me. I'll just go too deep, and then I'll have to dive out from under it or end up on my butt. Um, so I just don't ever push it like that. But 275, I think I'm gonna steal your number too, and I'll go for 275 as well. What are you gonna do? Anything different? Or are you just gonna keep pushing it?
No, I just need consistency. Especially with having Jonas around. So if I can just make sure that I get to at least the 2 lifts a week, and then kind of in between my lifts, I'm going to continue to run. I'm going to probably continue to do some like hip flexor type PT items, just kind of strengthening lots of other stuff. But doing that and then eating a lot of Thanksgiving food.
Yeah, that's all you need. Get that turkey in you. Get that protein. I was talking to Colton Saturday because we went and squatted actually, and he was just talking about how his knees hurt, that kind of stuff. He's actually getting that fixed with it. That was the point of it. He's like, my knees didn't hurt, nearly as much as they usually do when we squat. And so I was like, that's awesome. Is there anything on you, since we're talking about, age, just being a number, that kind of thing that hurts when you squat now?
No,
I mean, once I got over the knee thing and started squatting right again, um, my hip gets a little tight sometimes, but it's more of I'm just not warmed up. Like I can tell whenever I don't warm up. That's really it. If I warm up, it's pretty solid.
It's purely muscle fatigue, nothing joint
Mhm.
wise. So
That's good, man. That's good.
no,
Yeah,
the
we'll
only
see.
the only thing that gets me sometimes lifting is if I do push press. Sometimes I feel it a bit in my back. Everything else is
That's
good.
probably not great, but I'm probably going to. I really don't think I'm going to change much. It'll just be what I've been focusing on, and by focus, it's more of like thinking about more specifically has been like bench because I don't know, I'm a bro and really want a big bench. After all these years, I still care about it too much. But I'll probably just kind of shift my focus to, hey, I really want to make sure when I'm at the gym, which is usually about 3 days a week. And it's really all you need, by the way, for those who are like, man, Andrew's going 3 and Daniel's going 2. Like, what's wrong with these guys? I really don't think you need more than that. But anyways, uh, when I'm there, I'll probably just try and keep, squat in mind when I'm doing my workouts and be like, hey, make sure that you're saving some gas in the tank to really push the squat hard and take, I guess you could say, some risks with adding more weight than I might normally be trying to push for it for this month and see if I can just power through up to that 275.
Let's do it. Let's get big booties.
Oh, I've already got one of those, man. It might be the donut, but this
All
badonkadonk is bonking around.
right, let's
Oh,
get big booties that let you jump high. How about
okay, now
that?
you're just being mean. Yeah, you're right. We'll get on that. That'll be good. I'm excited because squat's probably one of my favorites now. It is the one that I think is probably the most important exercise I do. The 275 by Christmas. That's the goal.
By Christmas. Otherwise,
All right.
Santa just gives us lumps of coal.
Lumps of coal it is. All right. Well, to everybody listening, thank you guys for coming. We're excited to see if Daniel and I can get a double C thick by Christmas for you guys. Maybe we'll even start a calendar for you. Till next time, we look forward to connecting with you.